Time for a game that we call Overrated or Underrated. I'm going to read out a list of things, and you're going to tell me if you think they're overrated or underrated. First up, we have off-bike warm-ups or stretching before and after cycling, suggested by Sab.
Overrated.
I think they're overrated as well. I never warm up. I'm so bad for it. I think with cycling, you can kind of get away with it. I guess the warm-up caveat would be if I knew I was going straight into a hard race, i.e. a crit or a 10-mile TT.
Yep,
exactly. A short TT, I'm doing a warm-up for.
Or a hill climb.
Yes, because you got to be sharp straight from the off. But I'm not stretching before I go for a bike ride. I'm not stretching afterwards.
I actually stretch on the bike. That's a weird thing to say, but I'll stretch out my legs and stuff when I'm riding.
Well, I agree. Yeah, me sitting on a bike is basically stretching my body out these days.
However, you're becoming a supple leopard, aren't you, Jimmy?
I am a supple leopard, yeah.
What? You're a leopard?
A supple one.
He's doing a stretching course. Would that be the right thing?
It's called mobility.
A mobility.
It's a lifestyle change.
Course by a guy who wrote a book called How to Become a Supple Leopard.
Kelly Starrett is one of the most world-renowned leopardists. or he probably refers himself as a mobility expert.
He knows all about jaguars, tigers, leopards, lions.
Just leopards.
Just leopards,
Yeah.
Wow.
So, overrated. Oh, well, we already said, didn't we? We all think it's overrated. Yeah.
Yep.
Next up, carbon everything. So this is also suggested by Hector, who says, carbon is great, but you don't need everything to be made of it. In fact, I would argue that you don't want certain things made of carbon, such as chain rings. There's also things that aren't much lighter than their metal or plastic counterparts, but much more expensive. I don't think I could ever say that carbon is overrated, but I do very much agree with the point that he's making. Mm-hmm. We've done a video before, Francis did a video with a carbon expert, which was looking at products that just don't make sense out of being made of carbon. Like, for example, chain rings. That's one of the products because it's a high wear product.
I would agree with you that things like a chain ring, it shouldn't be made out of carbon, but things like, personally, handlebars should be carbon because of the vibration management. You don't get the same vibration management in a set of alloy bars as you generally will on a carbon set of handlebars. And this is a very personal thing because I have 2 broken wrists.
I sort of agree with you, and I do agree with you, but I want to disagree with you because carbon handlebars are always outrageously expensive. Yes, they are.
If you pay for the brand, they are.
There aren't cheap carbon bars.
Prime carbon bars.
How much do they cost?
40 quid. Please tell me if I'm correct, Emily.
Is Prime a Wiggle brand?
Prime is Wiggles brand, but I think their carbon bars are relatively reasonable price. They're probably not 40 quid. They're probably 100 quid still. God.
So Francis is speaking from the depths of the studio that has done the search for us and is currently shouting £150. What's the cheapest ones?
You can get some for £95 on Chain Reaction, but probably for not too much longer.
Right, so 100 quid for bars.
That's still a lot of money.
I can get bars for 20 quid.
Yeah,
I can probably get bars for 5 quid.
Yeah.
I think there's other things that you can do, like, for example, tyre pressures.
Yep.
That aren't exactly the same because what you are saying about the vibration reduction at your hands, that is a thing, but you can make your ride more comfortable with other things.
Completely agree.
So I do agree, but I had to make sure I disagreed with you. I do like your point, but I had to disagree.
You're neutral. Jimmy neutral.
Well, no, I don't use carbon bars. I have alloy bars and everything. But the other point here is some metal parts are as light as carbon counterparts. The best example for me is stems.
Exactly. You can actually get aluminium stems that are lighter than a lot of carbon stems as well.
Well, I used to have a Dada, I can't even remember what model it was, and it was a 90mm stem that was about 90 grams. And it wasn't cheap, but it was probably half the price of what the carbon equivalent would. Yeah. And I remember looking it up, and the carbon one was like 20 grams heavier. In the grand scheme of things, 20 grams doesn't make any kind of difference. But my point is, just because it's carbon doesn't mean that it's actually the best or lightest product.
What you're saying, overrated or underrated? Carbon everything.
Overrated.
Carbon everything is overrated. I would agree with that.
The final one on our list, also from Hector, is oversized derailleur cages and jockey wheels.
Can I start?
Yeah, please.
Massively overrated, especially for the cost of them. They look great, but they're really overrated because they're so expensive. And they don't all look great. I'm going to care about that.
Yeah, I don't even think they do look great. It's just different, isn't it?
I think the only ones that actually look kind of cool are the Ceramic Speed ones. I don't like pretty much any other competitor brand. So Kogel have made them, like Black, what is it called? Absolute Black, their one.
We've had Nick ranting about ceramic bearings on the previous podcast. When you see, so I'm going to later on, Nick, we're going to be with Nick.
I'll let him rant at me.
I'm going to put you face to face with each other, and I'm just going to say bearings and run away, and it's like dropping a grenade. And then 14 hours later, you will know everything about bearings.
I'm not saying they're necessarily better or worse. I'm just saying that they look cool. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
The Ceramic Speed ones look cool. I mean, the argument on a take away the performance aspect of bearings, the other argument of an oversized system is that you're causing a less aggressive.
We've been
bend.
through all this before. You don't need to tell me. I've been through this in great detail with Nick.
Okay.
They are overrated.
Okay. We'll say overrated on everything apart from Ceramic Speed one.
Still overrated. Especially overrated because of the price.
Underrated if you can get it for under £100.
Which you can't.
Exactly.
Oh, right. Keep sending your suggestions to wildonespodcast@cademedia.co.uk and we might read yours out in the next show.